Praises to the Most High.
All
Shabbat
right.
Shalom, everybody.
Shabbat Shalom.
Yeah, so we've embarked on the Ten Commandments, and we are in Exodus 20, chapter 20. Of course, reading out of the KJV, and verse 15. Thou shalt not steal. So those who've been following along with us for a very long time should um, know already that we pretty much, you know, are grateful for the information that you will share with us concerning the lessons that we share, and that there's no big eyes to look on you, so we don't think we know everything. We would love for your input. Also, we just want to say, bear with us because this is what the Most High has blessed us with, our portion of understanding. And with that, we just want to get started. Okay, so I'm going to start first here, talking about Exodus 20. Thou shalt not steal. Okay, so some people, they usually look at this and they say that's self-explanatory. But the problem really goes deeper than that because most people know that stealing is wrong, but yet people still do it on a daily basis. So
Mm-hmm.
when you begin to look at it in a psychological level, and I got to say this that most people may not go with that and they say, well, these Babylon, they told us a whole bunch of stuff, and I don't know if I can believe anything they say. Well, I beg to differ. I think there's some good information out there that there's been some research done behind it. I don't necessarily agree with the words that they choose for these things that I'm about to bring out, but for the most part, I do agree with some of it. So I just want to bring out what it is, and you can sort it out yourself with the Holy Spirit. But with that being said, like I said, most people they realize that stealing is wrong, but they still do it.
Mm-hmm.
And uh, if you had something stolen from you lately and you've been struggling to understand why, there are many different levels of thievery.
Yes.
And, from pocketing a few dollars to taking whole identities. How about that?
Hmm.
And, embezzlement, millions of dollars from trust and customers and all these different things that people have done. Um, in the art, I call it the art of stealing when you're doing it on purpose like that, especially. And I got to tell you, doing it on purpose. We're gonna get to why I'm saying it like that because
Mm-hmm.
there's also scripture references that we can go into concerning different people who, uh, about what different things about stealing.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, now looking at it from a pathological reason, some people call it kleptomania.
Mm-hmm.
And this is a type of impulse, type of control disorder in which the person repeatedly has the urge to steal items that
Mm-hmm.
are not really needed or have very little value. Like I knew a guy, he would go into the store and this guy would have like $2,000, $3,000 in his pocket, and he was a successful car dealer, but he would go into the store and he just couldn't help himself as far as he's concerned, and I
Mm-hmm.
come out and be like, man, did you just steal that? Because he opened it up and he wouldn't have no receipt, he wouldn't have a bag. And I'm with the guy, that was the worst part. But like I said, we've all done things. So, but I'm just saying, it was amazing how he would do that. And so I knew a real live kleptomaniac guy who would just go and he just didn't, his excuse was, it's just a pen.
Hmm.
Yeah, but you could have paid for that. It was $1.15, But anyway, but you have different people that do stuff like that. So I wanted to bring out those psychological issues and talk about that just a little bit. But so this person is compulsively they steal. You they get a rush from doing it, which I did notice that he was kind of excited about it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, People with this disorder do not steal for personal gain. They do it usually, they plan out, they don't plan it out or collaborate with others, to complete this mission or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Instead, the urges just come on and they spontaneously do it. It's just something in front of them. They grab it real quick and put it in the pocket. That's it, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And, another thing is, you know, um, when you have to, when this person is having this kind of issue, you have to realize, or I try to identify the addiction that's related to the stealing. And the reason why I say this is even in biblical understanding, we know that the Most High judge you for your intentions,
Mm-hmm.
you know. And hold on a second. Do you have a question?
No, go ahead. Go
Oh, I
ahead.
thought you said, yeah, I saw your hand go up. Sorry. But yeah. So the Most High even judge you for your intentions. So just to understand how this is done in a related manner, to try to figure out, well, why do people do this? Um, uh, it's like you, like I said, it's usually a rush on their part, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But these stolen items, you know, um, you know, when it's a drug related thing and they're addicted to something, you know, or some type of financial difficulties or something like that, then it's a different type of reason
Mm-hmm.
why they're doing it. You
It's
know,
tied to something else.
it's tied to something else.
It's
They're
always.
just not doing it just to do it. They got a serious problem.
Yeah.
So a person with a substance abuse problem or gambling addiction, they may take the money from relatives, friends, co-workers, to fund, their addictions and so forth. But usually it's accompanied by lying.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, they'll lie, and if the person is confronted about the issue, they're likely to deny even having a problem. So this is
Mm-hmm.
just some of the things that they do when they're dealing with it in that way. So just understanding the pathological stealing, it's generally not personal. People who steal pathologically are generally not doing it intentionally to harm anyone.
Mm-hmm.
The stealing meets a need, whether emotional or literal or whatever it may be. And I'm not putting a patent on this thing saying it's okay to do it. But what I am saying is that this is the situation that they're dealing with
Mm-hmm.
in order for it to happen like that. And when you're on drugs and stuff like that, and you can't get no money, and then somebody that needs these items, you will go get those items.
Mm-hmm.
If you're on those drugs, because psychologically something is going on there, especially spiritually we know something's going on too.
Absolutely.
Demons involved.
Mm-hmm.
And even on the psychological standpoint, in the soulish area,
Mm-hmm.
we know the stuff is going on. So this stealing thing was deeper than I thought it was. I thought it was,
It
really
is.
kind of simple. But when I started looking into it, I was like, well, you got a question?
Yeah, just to add, going back to what you were saying about the pathological term for it is kleptomania.
Yeah.
So just what I came across in terms of the etymology of the word
Mm-hmm.
is that the Greek word for thieves, 28:12, is kleptes, which comes from the root word 28:13, klepto, which means to filch,
Yeah.
steal.
Yeah. Back in the day, when I was young, they wouldn't call them kleptomaniacs in the hood. They just called them kleptos.
Klepto, yep.
I mean, I might be giving my age away now, but that's pretty much what we called it back in the day, kleptos.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, absolutely, and definitely Greek, anything that they put out there, make sure that it's coming from that that frame of mind, so we know that.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah. So that's some of the things that they deal with on that level. But when you're exploring the non-pathological motives, it's a little different.
Mm-hmm.
So understand that people steal to meet their basic needs. So you got desperation involved. It's a common reason. That's behind many thefts. And a person may not have a job or a source or income or have insufficient means to provide for their families and so forth. So as a result, this is what people do. They'll steal to feed their children and provide shelter. We saw that with Katrina.
Yeah.
We saw that also with King David when he went to the priest and lied to the priest. Like I said, he usually is associated with lying and told them that he had to get the bread to take it back to the priest. And they gave it to him, And even Yeshua made an example out of that to the Pharisees and said, did not David do this?
Right.
But it was permitted David because preservation of the day was important.
Right.
Not going into a Walmart and stealing a TV. But when you go in, but in the case of Katrina, but when you go in the case of Katrina, when you did go in that Walmart and you went and got you some food to sustain your family, what was you supposed to do?
Right.
And I'm not telling nobody to steal. They got to use their own wisdom at that moment when they get into that same situation. And the Bible talks about us being in that type of situation. It doesn't go that deep, but it say that we're going to be stuck. We're going to be, if you go through the wilderness, you're going to go through something.
Yeah.
For those that go through the wilderness, and our people. So we have to, those are some things we gotta do. Self-preservation is the order of the day. So you're gonna want to help your family.
Yeah.
You see an apple tree, you're not gonna say, well, let me go knock on the door and see if it's okay with that brother if I grab one of his apples. You're gonna grab the apple and give it to your family.
Right.
And I think that's the difference in a non-pathological motive. Go ahead.
I think too that part of it goes to, what the Most High's expectations of those who He allows to have are, is that we're not supposed to see our brother and sister in need and not fulfill that need if we are able to fulfill that need. That it shouldn't. It's kind of like the two are polar opposites if you look at it in Scripture, giving versus stealing. And sometimes an act of giving can prevent an act of stealing because now that person doesn't need to steal because that need has been met by someone giving.
So true, so true. Yeah, and that's a good observation on that too. Absolutely. Um, when you realize that stealing can happen due to peer pressure, that's another reason. Let's talk about that. It's a non-pathological reason, according to their studies and everything. But just being in the wrong crowd, can prompt someone to develop a habit of stealing. In such cases, the value of the stolen items may not matter as much as the thrill of taking something and potentially getting away with it. So it's the thrill that gets them. I remember it was a movie, and this movie was called with Al Pacino. I can't think of the name of the other guy. Sizemore, something Sizemore. I can't think of his first name. But anyway, in the movie, they were robbing a bank, and before they robbed the bank, they told Sizemore, that's his real name. But the actor, they told him, they said, you don't have to go in there, man. You did real good for your family, and you put a lot of money away. You got a lot of money. You don't have to go. And he said, I'm going for the rush. Because he wanted to rob the bank for the rush. So this is that type of thief, a person
I know what you're talking about. I can't remember which one it was.
Yeah. I can't think of it either. It was actually a pretty good action-packed movie.
Wasn't it Jamie Foxx?
He wasn't in that one. No, it was.
Oh, and he was in one that had the same similar situation. Man.
Wow.
I can't remember.
Yeah, but this one was Val Kilmer. Heat. That's what it's called. Heat.
Okay.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. And he said Sizemore was like, I'm going for the rush, for the action. I was like, wow.
The Taxi Driver, I think that's the other one.
Okay.
That had Jamie Foxx in it. Okay. Taxi Driver or Taxi something, I can't remember.
Okay. But this type of stealing, is very common amongst teens who are susceptible to peer pressure and so forth. And to them, it looks cool and it's susceptible to their groups and their peers. So this is some of the stuff that they deal with. Now, the third one that I saw was it was like a lack of empathy. And a teenager or a person who, usually teenagers, but who has difficulty seeing the bigger picture may steal without really thinking everything through. It's just like an impulse action, and it might affect someone's future, but the person is not pathological. And they are capable of empathy. So, but in that moment, they're not thinking, so they just do it. So that's another, and if confronted or asked to think things through, think the actions through, if they're confronted about it before they actually do it, this person sometimes don't do it. They decide, I'm not going to do it because they have empathy. The other one is recognizing that some people steal just to fulfill the emotional holes. Like in some cases, the person who has suffered, an early attachment or loss or trauma, may steal to compensate. They're trying to fill that void that's in them, and in an attempt to fill the emotional holes left behind by a parent or caregiver or whatever, the child may compulsively steal to resolve feelings or deprivation. So with that, unfortunately, the stealing does not resolve the issue, of course. So the individual steals more and more and more. So that's kind of
trying to make themselves feel better.
Yeah. They do it to make themselves feel better for whatever pain it may be. 5. It's the fifth one was consider that some people steal just because they can. Unfortunately, there are some people out there who have no emotions at all tied into it, but they just do it just to do it.
To say they did.
And and perhaps they see it as some type of challenge or something, but for the
Mhm.
most part, they just still, or they may still out of greed or whatever it may be, but when it's all said and done, it just steal.
Mhm.
So, which led me to this: what is stealing? And it says to take another person's property
Mhm.
without permission or legal right and without intending to return it.
Mhm.
That's when I said, wow. So the biggest thievery that was ever done was to our people because our people's identity was stolen.
Yeah, absolutely.
And, they have no intention on returning it.
Mhm.
That's why it's going to take the Hamashiach to come and deal with it because no nations of the earth are going to speak up for us
Right.
on this. As far as they're concerned, they'll turn a deaf ear. There was a video that I saw, and it said, what do you do when you deal with hiding a person's history? And it showed a whole bunch of um, people saying different things, and it was saying, some white people, it was so-called white people, they were saying, well, you just pretend like they're not that what they're saying is not true, or you just ignore it.
Mhm.
Some people like you just make up their history and fill the void with lies. So people say all these different things, and that's kind of how it is, and this is why our history was never talked about. People say, "Oh, you didn't have no history." Well, that's not what the scholars are saying. When
Yeah.
you begin to look at the scholars and
Yeah.
seeing all the rich history that we had, even in Africa when we were there exiled, you know, we were still getting all kinds of, and to this day, there's so many blueprints of us being
Yeah.
the children of Israel coming out of Israel into Africa. Everything, I can break so much stuff down. I would take too much time up. Too much time up. I mean, everything, even the people don't even know, but even the sub-Sahara is named after Sarah. And when you begin to understand what sub means below, so underneath. So the
Mhm.
umbrella of where we were was under the umbrella of our mother Sarah. So
Mhm.
there's so much information, so much information. But like I said, when someone steals your identity and they take your identity and you don't know who the people are, the only thing that saved us more than anything was we knew the Most High kept those pyramids intact with our identity on those pyramids and all the artifacts and stuff. And we can
Mhm.
see that the hair was plaited and all these different things. If we wouldn't have had that in the Negro faces, if we wouldn't have had those things, we couldn't. It would have been harder. But there was an overwhelming evidence that he preserved,
Mhm.
to refute the things that man was trying to say.
Mhm.
And now we're coming into the fruition of what the scriptures were saying when they said that we would come into knowing who we are and waking up. So
Right.
this is what you see. You can't stop it. You can't stop it. There's too many prophecies coming to life
Mhm.
uh, from all fronts, and but this is what happened. So our identity was stolen. You know, and I just want to read something about that, and then I'm going to be done. But I just want to read something about what Yeshua said about the thief. This is Johanna, John 10 and 10. The
Mhm.
thief cometh not but for to steal and to kill and to destroy. I am come that they might have life and that they might have it more abundantly. Now, this really blew my mind because this was more than what people probably never. It's probably somewhat. It probably went over a lot of people's head because if you look at it, you say, "Wow, that's the commandments right there, boom, boom, boom." But it's saying the attributes of the thief,
Right.
and then it began to tell you steal, kill, and destroy. So the attributes of the thief is to kill, is to steal, kill, and destroy. So it's not just saying thief like that's stealing, and that's just one of the commandments. It's telling you the attributes of a thief. So
Mhm.
the biblical attributes of a thief is a person who steal, kill, and destroy. That's
Mhm.
deep. In conjunction with people taking your identity, this is what they did. They have stolen from us. They have literally killed us and mentally destroyed us and killed us in a lot of ways like that too. And they have destroyed us. They have done that, those things. And this is the thief.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the attribute of the thief. And then he goes on to say, I am come that you might have life and that you might have it more abundantly. So he brought life to the situation because thievery brings death to the situation. And I want to read one more scripture to go with that, and then I'm going to pass the baton here, the staff. So we got Proverbs 6:30 and 31. Men do not despise a thief if he steals to satisfy himself when he is hungry. But when he is found, he must repay sevenfold. He must give all the substance of his house. So this is a good proverb. So what it's saying is, if a person was to go and have to do what you have to do to survive, when that term is over and you're not in that no more, you need to give back sevenfold. You know, so that apply on a lot of levels, and that's also how it's going to be for us because we've been taken from. So we're going to receive way more than what was taken from us. And with that, I'm gonna pass the staff. All praise to the Most High.
All praises. I was just looking at John 10 and 10 and just the words in that passage that the thief, the Greek word there is kleptes, so a stealer, cometh not but to steal, which is klepto, and to kill, which is thuo, 2380, a primary verb properly to rush, breathe hard, blow smoke, that is by implication to sacrifice, properly by fire, but generally by extension, slaughter for any purpose, kill, sacrifice, and slay, and destroy is apolume, the base of 3639, to destroy fully, reflexively to perish or lose, literally or figuratively, destroy, die, lose, mar, or perish.
Wow.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
So as I was studying, I kept coming into my mind, and I was like, okay, is this appropriate? I kept thinking of the joke about the Most High and Satan having a conversation about, well, I can create my own man. You know the joke I'm talking about?
Yeah, yeah.
So
Get your own dirt.
get your own dirt. So the Most High and Satan are having a conversation, and Satan's like, oh, you think you big and bad? I can make my own man. So the Most High said, okay, go ahead. So he said, he bend over. Most High said, make your own dirt.
Yeah.
He, of course, couldn't make his own dirt because he is not the Most High God, the creator of all. So because he couldn't make his own dirt, he decided to steal some. So that's what the Most High was showing me in this commandment, that the reason that the Most High commanded us not to steal is because he knows what it feels like to be the victim of a deceiver, to suffer the consequences of deception. And he knows what it feels like because he watched us, his precious creation, his sons and daughters, being stolen away by the serpent, Satan, the deceiver. So in order to see how this happened, the Most High took me back once again, like he did with the commandment 7 in Exodus 20 and 14, to Genesis 3, to the story of how man fell after he was deceived. So Genesis 3 and 1 begins with, well, first let me go back to the verse itself, Exodus 20:15. The word there for steal is, Hebrew word is H1589, ganab. It's a primitive root to thieve, literally or figuratively, like by implication, to deceive, carry away, get by stealth. So if we go back to Genesis 3 and 1, we see how this happened. It starts out, now the serpent was more subtle than any beast of the field, which the Most High had made. And he said unto the woman, yea. In other words, yes. Hath the Most High said, ye shall not eat of every tree of the garden? So he's asking her a question, but he's beginning it with a declarative statement by saying yes. Like, I know the Most High said it. Do you know that the Most High said it? The Hebrew word for subtle that's used here is H6175, arum. It's a passive participle of H6191. The word means cunning, usually in a bad sense, crafty or prudent. And so the woman responds in Genesis 3:2, and the woman said unto the serpent, we may eat of the fruit of the trees of the garden, but of the fruit of the tree which is in the midst of the garden, the most High hath said, ye shall not eat of it, neither shall ye touch it, lest ye die. And the serpent said unto the woman, ye shall not surely die, for the most High doth know that in the day ye eat thereof, then your eyes shall be open, and ye shall be as gods, knowing good and evil. So watch very closely what happens here. See, the serpent manipulates the woman's senses in one sentence, and he shifts her attention away from her ears. What did the Most High say? Mm-hmm. The first thing he does is he appeals to her sense of taste. For the Most High doth know that in the day ye eat thereof. The Hebrew word for eat there is H398, akal, a primitive word to eat. Burn up, consume, devour, dine, food, freely, wise. Next, the serpent appeals to the woman's sense of sight. What does she see? He says, then your eyes will be opened. The Hebrew word for opened is 6491, pakah, a primitive word to open the senses, especially the eyes, figuratively to be observant or open. Finally, the serpent goes straight for her heart when he says, ye shall be as gods, knowing good and evil. The Hebrew word for know is yada, 3045. It's a primitive root to know, properly to ascertain by seeing, using a great variety of senses, figuratively, literally, euphemistically, and inferentially, including observation, care, recognition, and causatively, instruction, designation, punishment. Remember, Proverbs 23:7 says, for as he thinketh in his heart, so is he. So this is what a thief does when they steal. They deceive. They do things in secret and they get by stealth. So the reason the Most High tells us not to steal again is because he knows it. He's seen it. He's watched it. We've already been through this. So instead of him saying, don't do that again, he gives us a commandment to do it because he already knows that we're going to do it again. And the bad part about it is that we allow the serpent to steal us away because the fruit that we saw was more appealing to our eyes and our hearts than the Most High's commandment was to our ears. So we allowed the serpent to steal our hearts because we wanted something more than what the Most High gave us. Even though the Most High gave us everything, we allowed ourselves to be deceived into thinking that the lie the serpent told us was better than the truth that the Most High told us. In Genesis 2:16 and 17, the Most High told us, and the Most High commanded the man, saying, of every tree of the garden thou mayest freely eat, but of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil thou shalt not eat of it, for in the day that thou eatest thereof thou shalt surely die. The Most High told us the truth, but we chose to believe the serpent's deception because we wanted what the Most High told us we could not have. So we suffered the consequences of our own deception. See, first, the woman stole the fruit from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. Now, I say stole because it wasn't hers to take. Remember, the Most High said not to take the fruit from the tree, and the woman knew that the Most High said it. So therefore, when she took the fruit from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, it was stealing. Then the woman gave the fruit to her husband, and he ate it, which means he knowingly and willingly received stolen goods. Now, some of you out there have been asking something from the Most High, and the Most High has told you no. And you've been trying to figure out a way to manipulate the Most High or to manipulate the circumstances to get what you want. But the Most High told you no. So even if you get it, guess what? You're stealing because the Most High said no. So we need to make sure that we're following in the vein that the Most High wants us to be. The things that he's told us we can't have, there's a reason that he doesn't want us to have them because they're not for us. Everything in creation, everything we can see, even though it's pleasing to our eyes, and even though it'll bring us the things that we think we want, the Most High has given us commandments. He's told us into our ears, and we've heard him, and we've acknowledged that we've heard him, but he's testing your heart right now. He's testing to see what decision are you going to make. Are you going to believe what he's told you and what you've heard and what you've read in his word? Or are you going to believe what the world has showed you and what you see with your eyes and what you think you feel in your heart? Because remember, as you think with your heart, so you are. So whatever decision you make will determine which way your heart goes. Either you're going to be a friend of the Most High or you're going to be a friend of the world. But at this moment, the Most High is testing you. So know that. This was not in my notes. The Most High told someone out here that is listening to this message, you needed to hear that because the Most High is testing you right now and you don't want to fail. You want to see the truth that the Most High has for you, not the lie that the world is giving you. So in Genesis 3:6 says, and when the woman saw that the tree was good for food, and that it was pleasant to the eyes, and a tree to be desired to make one wise, she took of the fruit thereof, and did eat, and gave also unto her husband, and he did eat. The Hebrew word for took is H3947. Lakak, a primitive root to take, accept, bring, buy, carry away, drawn, reserve, seize, send for. Sound familiar? Sounds like steal. So then when they got caught, they both tried to cover it up. Genesis 3:7-8 says, and the eyes of them both were opened, and they knew that they were naked, and they sewed fig leaves together and made themselves aprons. And they heard the voice of the Most High walking in the garden in the cool of the day. And Adam and his wife hid themselves from the presence of the Most High among the trees of the garden. So that same voice that they heard before that told them not to take and eat of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, they heard it again. See, Satan had blocked that voice so that they forgot what it sounded like. So all of a sudden, after they had done what they knew they weren't supposed to do, they heard his voice again and said, uh-oh, I'm in trouble. I better cover it up. I better hide. The Hebrew word for hid is 2244, kabah, a primitive root to secrete, hide, do secretly. Sound familiar again? Sounds like stealing. And so in Genesis 3:9, the Most High called unto Adam and said unto him, where art thou? The Most High did not call out to Adam because he didn't know where Adam was at. The Most High knows everything. The Most High called out because he knew Adam and his wife had been stolen. And they were hiding themselves from the Most High because they participated in the theft. Mm-hmm. In Genesis 3:10, and he said, I heard thy voice in the garden, and I was afraid because I was naked, and I hid myself. And he said, who told thee that thou wast naked? Hast thou eaten of the tree whereof I commanded thee that thou shouldest not eat? And the man said, the woman who thou gavest to be with me, she gave me of the tree, and I did eat. And the Most High said unto the woman, what is this that thou hast done? And the woman said, the serpent beguileth me, and I did eat.
I have a question. Mm-hmm. Oh, I don't want to break you.
Go ahead.
So I'm breaking something.
Go ahead.
I just want to say this. It's funny you said that because that's kind of the order of operation. Mm-hmm. Where when the man was confronted, he automatically exposed the woman. Mm-hmm. When the woman was confronted, she automatically exposed the serpent. Mm-hmm. And these days, it's flipped a little bit. Mm-hmm. And you can tell that it's off because you got a lot of women who will blame the man for a lot of stuff. Mm-hmm. And then you have a lot of men that blame the serpent and different things like that. But right. That's not how it went in the beginning. Right. So when you look at that, you see the order of operations is going sideways, mm-hmm. kind of, but that's kind of where everything is going. And biblically, we saw exactly how it went. He blamed that woman, and then the woman, she blamed the serpent, mm-hmm. and that's the way it went. So I just wanted to say that. I don't know who that's for, but I know that it's for somebody. So go ahead. Well, part of the reason for that, I just want to speak to that, is that people are out of place. See, what mm-hmm. happened there is that you had the man who heard directly from the Most High, and people want to argue and say, well, the woman wasn't there, she wasn't created. But see, what they fail to recognize when they say that is that the woman was created out of the man and was created for the man, and the Most High pronounced that the two were one. So therefore, what he knew, she knew. Mm-hmm. What he heard, she heard. Absolutely. So there is no ignorance in that fact to say that the woman didn't know and therefore she didn't do because she didn't know, because she did know. And she said she knew. And the serpent didn't approach her as a woman who didn't know. He approached her as a woman who did know, and he wanted to shake her from what she did know. And that is so true. And not only that, but I was talking to a brother. We were talking about scriptures one day, and I was telling him, I said, he was like, well, I mean, it's not fair that we don't have to suffer for what Adam and Eve did. And mm-hmm. I said, brother, we always Adam. You don't know that? Yeah. I said, we all called it out. We all wanted him to eat from the fruit because we came from his land. The Most High is not going to give us a punishment for something that we had nothing to do. We had something to do. There's a connection and everything. That's why right. He suffer them down to the fourth generation and so forth, because there's a connection in there that people don't see, but it's a fabric that's in the spirit realm,
right,
that's connected to these things. Go ahead.
right. So basically, what happened in this situation is that the woman and the man both were beguiled, because a lot of things. Another part that people don't understand is that yes, the woman partook of the fruit and then she gave it to her husband. He had the opportunity to refuse. And all would have been forgiven, because he would have taken his place as leadership, because the husband has the power to break a woman's vow. If a woman vows to anything and the husband says, nope, that's not right for this family, she's no longer bound by that vow. The serpent wouldn't have had any play, but because that didn't happen, they both were beguiled. The Hebrew word for beguiled is H5377, nashah, which means to lead astray. That is mentally delude or morally to seduce or deceive. Thou shalt not steal. Why? Because the stealing, deceiving defiles us. The Mashiach spoke about stealing as one of the things that defiles a man in Matthew 15. Beginning in verse 10, it says, and he called the multitude and said unto them, hear and understand. Not that which goeth into the mouth defileth a man, but that which cometh out of the mouth, this defileth a man. Then came his disciples and said unto him, knowest thou that the Pharisees were offended after they heard this saying? But he answered and said, every plant which my heavenly Father hath not planted shall be rooted up. Let them alone. They be blind leaders of the blind, and if the blind lead the blind, both shall fall into the ditch. Then answered Peter and said unto him, declare unto us this parable. And the Mashiach said, are ye also yet without understanding? Do not ye yet understand that whatsoever entereth in at the mouth goeth into the belly, and is cast out into the drought? But those things which proceed out of the mouth come forth from the heart, and they defile the man. For out of the heart proceed evil thoughts, murders, adulteries, fornications, thefts, false witness, blasphemies. These are the things which defile a man. But to eat with unwashen hands defileth not a man. Then 1 Corinthians 6, 9 through 11 says, know ye not that the unrighteous shall not inherit the kingdom of the Most High? Be not deceived. Neither fornicators, nor idolaters, nor adulterers, nor effeminate, nor abusers of themselves with mankind, nor thieves, nor covetous, nor drunkards, nor revilers, nor extortioners shall inherit the kingdom of the Most High. And such were some of you, but ye are washed, and ye are sanctified, but ye are justified in the name of the Mashiach by the Ruach of the Most High. The Greek word for thieves is 28112, kleptes, which you talked about earlier, which is a stealer. And so we have an alternative. Rather than steal, this is what I was talking about a little bit earlier, we have the opportunity to give. Ephesians 4 and 28 suggests that it is much better for us to use our hands to give away than it is to steal or carry away. It says, let him that stole steal no more, but rather let him labor, working with his hands the thing which is good, that he may have to give to him that needeth. It's a choice we make. We can either give or we can steal. It's one or the other. There's no in between with the Most High. You either for him or against him. Thou shalt not steal. That's all I have.
All praises to the Most High.
All praises to the Most High.
This is a good lesson. A lot of information. So, once again, we appreciate the feedback. And with that, we're going to wish you Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
And happy feast for those that's keeping the feast. All praise to the Most High.
All praise to the Most High.
Kwame Yasharel.
Kwame Yasharel.